Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. And in today's video we have this 2023 Ford Ranger, and we're going to do the front grille chrome delete installation for this vehicle. So as you can see, for this vehicle the grille is already blacked out, but there's other trim levels that have this section of the grille chromed out. So with this one we're going to use a different color just to help you guys out to go about the installation in case your grille does come in a chrome color. That being said, let's get started with the installation video. So before starting with the installation, we need to make sure we prep the panel. So to prep it, all you need to do is add water inside a spray bottle and add baby shampoo and spray the solution to your microfiber towel, and just make sure you remove all the contaminants that the panel may have. You can also wash the vehicle, but make sure if you wash the vehicle, whole panel is completely dry, because if there's still water and the adhesive side of the film touches the water, the adhesive is not going to stick. Even if you apply heat, it's just going to lift over time. So you need to make sure that the whole panel is completely dry before doing the installation. Okay, so to start off, start applying the film that goes on the lower end of the grille. So with this one, sort of align it to the design of this section of the grille. So wherever this section is, just go a little bit and place it there. And then once you place it from this end, just help it tack down, follow the design of the grille, and it should be almost identical towards the end, passing this edge and just a little bit. Make sure you have enough material to cover the top and also enough to cover the lower section here. And now you would grab your squeegee and start tacking down the film. That way you can start having coverage on the panel here. And then just make sure you remove any air bubbles that are behind the film. And then start from the middle and just tack down the whole film. Work one way and make your way to the other side. And then this excess material, you can trim it off. So just be careful when you're trimming off this piece. So make sure you find the little small gap between the plastic grille and the actual panel here. So there's a small gap from there. Just insert the blade. All you need is just a little bit of the blade to cut through, and all you're doing is just applying light pressure when you're trimming off the excess material, because if you apply too much pressure, then that's when you will accidentally scratch the actual plastic. So you want to take your time. If you need to stop and see if it's good, you should be good, and then just continue where you left off. And then just grab your squeegee again and tack down the rest of the film since it's lifting, and just apply a little bit of heat just to help the film tack down before you install the other pieces. So grab your heat gun and tack it down. Okay, and now we can move on with the side piece here. So now we're moving on to this lower section here. So with this one, you could start off from where you left off, or you could overlap the film just a little bit to where you left off with this one. Overlap it a little bit if you want, just so it does more coverage. And then just make sure you have enough material to cover this curve here. You could test it and see, and if you see that it's still not covering, lift it and realign it again, just so you can have full coverage. And that should be good. And then you could use your finger to tack down the film, but just make sure if you do, remove all the air behind the film. If not, then just tack it down with your squeegee. And in this section here, we're going to apply a little bit of heat just to help the film tack down, and also apply heat on this curved area so we remove any fingers and not crease the film. So just squeegee at an angle, and now we could apply heat to help it tack down here to this curve. So hold it in position, so lift it, hold it for a bit, and then apply heat, and then let the film cool off afterwards, and then we'll be able to tack it down. So let it cool off, and then work little by little to installing it. And you do the same on this edge. Okay, and then now we can trim off this excess material. So grab your blade, do the same thing, find the small gap, and slowly trim it off. Remove the film so you can see where you're going, and just apply a little bit of heat to help it tack down. And just continue trimming it, take your time. And that should be good. And now we can move on with the next piece, which will be this one here. So now we're moving on to this section of the grille. So with this one, start off from where you left off, and you could overlap the film just a bit, but just make sure you give yourself material to cover the inside of the grille here. So roughly around there. And then just lift the film and start tacking it down and helping it guide and guiding it to the top section here. So it should be like this, and then you grab your squeegee and start tacking down all of the flat areas. Lift it carefully to avoid creasing. And on this part here, this is where we need to apply heat just to help it tack down and tuck in inside the design of the grill here. Or if you're having trouble tucking in, you could always trim it off, but you may have some chrome exposed, so it just depends how you go about the installation here. Add a little bit of heat to tack it down. And you just rinse and repeat this whole process until you're able to tuck in as much as you can, and then remove all the fingers. Okay, and now we're going to apply heat just to help it tack down on this curve, and then trim off any excess material. Okay, so just make sure it's tacked down before you trim off. And you just grab your blade and start trimming off the material here. So just take your time, find the small gap, and trim it off. And you would just rinse and repeat the same steps that we did for this side of the curve here of the grill to the other side, and then once you're done, you move on to the middle panel. So now we move on to this section here. So with this one, you can start from aligning it from where you left off. You could overlap it with the piece you left off here, or this piece, you could trim it off. It's completely up to you, just as long as you make sure you have coverage on the bottom here, and then make sure it's aligned to the body line of this top section here of the grill. And just follow along. If you need to lift it and readjust it, you can. Just take your time and lift it carefully. And with this one, we're going to focus on tacking down the top first to remove any air, and then tack down the middle. So when it comes to installing the film on each letter, the way you go about it is you need to make small cutouts on each letter of the Ranger. So what I mean by small cutouts is you would need to grab a needle, and wherever there's an edge, so let's say for example for the R, you'll make a cutout on one here, and then two on top. That way when we apply heat, we're able to remove the air that's trapped from each side and just move it to where we make the small insert. So I'll show you for this one. Make one there, and then for the A, you do one on each side of the A, and then on top, maybe one in the middle too, and same for the N, and so forth. You don't have to do too many, it's just only do as needed wherever the film has air bubbles, basically. Where the lettering ends, that's where normally the air gets trapped. Okay, so once you make the inserts, then we can start applying heat to help it tack down. The way you go about it is applying heat a little by little, and then with your finger, helping it tack down. Just be careful not to overstretch the film, and it's just rinse and repeating this same process until you're able to help the film mold inside the lettering. And if there's still air between wherever you did not make the inserts, grab your needle again and just make a small insert so you can remove the air. And you just rinse and repeat this whole process until you help tack down the film to each lettering. And then once you're done, you continue on with the rest of the installation. So it should look like this once it's done. And then you just continue with each one. Okay, so once you finish inserting each letter for the film, now you just finish off by tacking down the rest of the film, and then any excess material you would just trim off. So right here we will trim off excess material since it's already covering here. It's just more of just precaution just in case you didn't cover it. So just follow the design and then find the gap between the grill and the film, and that's where you will cut it. Just take your time. And just make sure you're covering all of the color from the chrome. And now we can move on with the other next piece, which is for the top one here. So now for the next piece, it will be to cover this section of the grill. So with this one, start from one end make sure you're covering everything, and slowly, little by little, make your way to the other end. And just follow the alignment of the small gap in between this other piece here and this section here. And it should follow up to the edge, and then just tack it down. Here you might need to apply a little bit of heat to help removing these fingers. So lift it, apply heat to remove the fingers. Let it cool off, and then slowly, little by little, help it tack down. And now this piece is done, and now you move on with the last piece, which covers this. But if you don't want to install it, this is how it will look. So it'll cover up to here, but just to have full coverage, we create this piece too. Okay, so just continue where you left off. So with this one, align it right on the edge. The only thing with this one, it's not going to cover the inside of the grill here because it's a small area to work with. So it's only going to cover the top piece here. And just make sure you align it as you go. Use your squeegee to tack it down. And now we're going to need to trim off the extra material that's touching the plastic side here. So with that piece, just grab your blade and then just trim out the extra material. There is a small gap in between the grill here and inside the plastic of the hood here. So just trim it off and then just continue with the other side. And that's pretty much it. And you're basically done with the installation, and now we can move on with post heating the film. So once you finish installing the whole piece on the front grille, the last thing to do would be to add heat all around. So this method is post heating, and basically all we're doing is just helping the adhesive heal faster. That way it tacks down to the panel and it won't lift over time. So all you need is your heat gun and apply heat everywhere on the film. And then after this step is done, you're done with the installation. Okay, so that concludes the installation video for the front grille chrome delete installation for the 2023 Ford Ranger. We hope that this video helped you guys out with the installation. If it did, don't forget to drop a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe and turn on that notification bell. That way you don't miss any upcoming installation videos. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.